All right, so welcome everyone to another edition, better said, of the Unblinded Real Raw Sales Roleplay. We are packed, slammed up, jammed up with geniuses in this Zoom call. We have the Adam Gugino, we have Joseph McClendon, we have Gene himself sipping his coffee, we have Kris Krohn rocking his backward hat, we have the two twins smiling and profiling, and we have Smikun-Callagy.
The almost twins, right? Of Ken. So let's go through, they look like twins, act like twins. Let's go quickly with the introductions of our amazing guests, Fernando.
Yes, so today we're going to be having Kris Krohn and Dr. Joseph McClendon III. They're going to be going head-to-head together in a spirited fun. We have Joseph, who is, outside of the fact that he's had my 13-year-old niece and my 8-year-old nephew shake their ass every single time I see them, he's also a doctor in neuropsychology. He is a best-selling author. He's a musician, and he once had dreadlocks down to his lower back. Different story for a different day. And then we have Kris Krohn coming in from Utah, who has stepped up massively and created a movement, helping others step into their legendary, with just an amazing self-mastery technology. He has an amazing game center out in Utah. He's also done billions in the world of real estate, and he's a second comer. So he has a little bit of an advantage on Dr. Joseph McClendon, but let's see. And of course, we have our amazing
Can we jump in real quick, Fernando? So first, again, for those that weren't on the huddle and just tuning into the Real Raw, I want to thank Joseph. Joseph has spoken in front of millions and millions of people around the world. Best-selling author, genius, doctor in the space of neuropsychology, who's created just extraordinary levels of programming content, and has had a massive impact on my life. So Joseph, again, thank you for being on the Real Raw Roleplay.
My pleasure, my friend. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, awesome. And Kris Krohn, friend, brother, just a remarkable person who, I think the most interesting thing for me about Kris is, not only does he have 500,000 YouTube subscribers, but I think that, has not only done phenomenal in the space of real estate, but I think what gets lost in that shuffle, as we mentioned about Joseph before, what an amazing father Joseph is that the father and husband that Kris Krohn is, and how amazingly and uniquely gifted he is in helping people create breakthroughs and what limits them. And I think that is probably the most unknown part, Kris, of your space and genius. And it's an honor and a privilege to be here. I've had the honor of sharing the stage with Joseph McClendon and Kris Krohn, and both of those are truly some of the most precious things I hold to my heart. So Kris, welcome, brother.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. And Fernando, we have 3 incredible judges. Well, actually 4, 3 judging slots, but 4 incredible people.
Yes, sir. We have Kay, we have Shy, we have Adam Gugino, and we have Gene himself. So we have rocket stars, we have just people of amazing energy, and I'm excited to get this rolling.
And Michael Smikun. And Michael Smikun.
The Michael Smikun. My bad, Michael. I didn't shift enough screens, but I see your hat in your bookcase, brother. Happy to see you.
Hey, Fernando. Thank you, brother.
So, Jared, we gotta get this squared away. So there's all kinds of interesting chaos happening this morning. So who are our judges? Like, give me the format, because we have a little.
So here's the format. So we decided that there was a chance that Kris Krohn had a slight edge on Joseph McClendon. So I told him about 3 seconds ago that Kris is in the role play against Joseph McClendon. I like to keep Kris on his toes. So Kris Krohn and Joseph McClendon are going head to head.
That edge is because Kris has been on once before, so he has a little bit of inside info. But I have a feeling that Joseph is going to whip out some scotomas on everybody's ass. So this is going to be.
Hey, let me jump in here for a second. I haven't got a clue what we're doing. I don't even know.
All right, thank you.
So
Now Joseph.
As long as I have Gene McNaughton in there, he is my spiritual guide, and I feel his energy, so I'm going to be fine.
Yeah, I hear that. So listen, Joseph, I have only the utmost respect for all of my mentors and teachers, and I have personal rules and how I interact with them. So I would never say this comment to one of my true mentors and coaches, which you are. But the other day I accused 2 participants of saying, my hamstring hurts, my shoe's untied, I didn't know the gun meant go start the race. And of course, Joseph McClendon would never be bringing any of that energy to this competition. Would you ever?
Absolutely not. I'm saying bring it on. I'm saying bring it on. I think, to me, I think this is hilarious. One of my favorite things to do, just really quick, I grew up in a world where my first certification into NLP was one of the courses that I took was with Tony Robbins. And he, at the end of like 14 days of learning all this stuff, he said, okay, everybody, 500 people, give us your wallet, give us your room key, give us everything. And they took it away from us and pushed us out the door and told us we had to go at least 50 miles away and come back with something of value. And so, you know, I come from that school, so bring it on. I just think it's hilarious. It's like I'm showing up here going, okay, what's next? And you guys are going, okay, it's head to head. You know, just
Did you cash that check? Joseph, did you cash that check yet? Or?
Yeah. So
Nothing.
I sense a bias coming on here. What's going on?
So some heavy energy and knowingness to be disrupted, I hear, coming from certain pockets of the energy today. So we're going to have some real fun. This is going to be amazing, but it's certainly not from Joseph. So yeah, let me explain what this is. So here's the idea that I have a $250,000 bet out on the internet for charity that on a neutral set of facts that I cannot be out influenced, right? And the reason, and Grant Cardone, you know, because we're in the sales training space, I had asked a few people if they could pass that bet along to, you know, Mr. Cardone in fun and great energy. And like, I haven't gotten a phone call yet. So if anybody here knows them or out there, please, in love and service, because what arose for me a while ago is this. I was an athlete growing up. I didn't go blind until I was 42. You know, I stopped driving at 42, 8 years ago. So for me, if you said, hey, I'm Usain Bolt, let's race on the track, you know, you have the ability to have a race. And there's a clock. And somebody is going to like win and somebody's not going to win. In the courtroom, in the law, you have the ability to have a trial, right? And determine like who wins a trial and who doesn't win a trial. In bench press and in music, we go into a room and let's say that, you know, anybody ever watched 8 Mile? Like there's a wrap off, right? People are there and boom. And all of a sudden, you know who wins. Like the audience just knows like what's up. We live in a world where marketing and sales is full and replete of things that aren't in truth and aren't integrity and aren't in congruence. And that frustrated me because Joseph and Kris knows this as well. When I first started talking to people, you know, about, well, I ran programs in the early 2000s, like what I saw in the space of influence and my work in mock trials and how I had 2 top 100 national jury verdicts and became one of only 2 attorneys in the country to do it. What became really present for me was like, yeah, knowingness. In fact, we just, for fun, heard a little bit of yeah, knowingness, you know, from our dear friend at Success Resources, which I'm so honored that he's here. And the idea is, I'm going to create a scotoma. Like we're going to bring on judges and people. And it's like, whoa, what is this? Who are these people? And that's why Unblinded is rocketing, because we're using experiential demonstrations, not just yapping. Like we're not just yapping. We're not just out there saying what we could do. Like Joseph proved it. He disrupted people's phobias. He leads groups of 15,000 people in the transformation. And there's tangible measurements of things that happen in those environments. Same thing that Kris is up to. And that's what we're here to do in the Real Raw role plays. So it's like there are judges, there are people, and then we're learning. Because I believe this final is that mastery is about minor distinctions that create massive acceleration exponentially. You know, Joseph is Joseph, and somebody that would be a public speaker and have achieved a level of maybe speaking in front of an audience of 50 and have what would look like some real meaningful skills and talents. There are micro distinctions that separate his work from Joseph's work that put Joseph in front of 15,000 people all the time for decades. And we're here to study and expose those micro distinctions because the whole world's out there to like hustle, communicate, and get something out there. We're about mastery here and micro distinctions that create mastery. So that's what this is unveiled to do, Joseph. And we have fun. We have 2 rounds and what, so I don't know, how does that sound as a dynamic to like unblind people and reveal truth? Thoughts?
I think it's great, and I still don't have a clue what we're doing.
Hey, Sean.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Bring it on. You know, I think this is great, and let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Let's quit yapping and get on with this.
Yeah. So
Go time.
Yeah. So here's what we do. So what we do is there's 2 rounds, and it's broken into 3 minutes each. So it's a total of 6 minutes, and it's the opportunity to go from hello to yes with the person you'll be role playing with, right? And the idea is in the first section, the first half, it's how do we go out and create depth of emotional rapport and the openness of listening. So if like default no's arise, resistance arises, how to create scotoma to reopen listening and access pain. That's the first half. And then there's scores, right? Then the second half that we go into is how we demonstrate our unique identity to solve whatever the pain is and get to a yes. And you go like, what yes? Well, it could be whatever yes you want. So Joseph, it could be to be booked as a speaker, you know, for a fee. It could be to enroll the person in role play to promote your podcast or come on your podcast. It could be to become a peak coaching client of yours in one of your, you know, more intimate programs. It's whatever you feel like. Same thing for Kris. It's whatever you feel like. And so just about that format, and it could be any way you want. So it's your 3 minutes, there'll be the clock, and it's go. And the scoring in the first round is, again, how deeply the person's connected and how their pain has been exposed. And the second round, it's how effectively we get to yes by demonstrating our unique identity through whatever mechanisms we want. And that's really what it is. It's how you go from hello to yes is what we're unveiling through masters, Joseph, like yourself, like Kris, the incredible judges that come on and people. That's what we're up to. So, and by the way, Les Brown was on just a couple of weeks ago with Dr. Mancini, Fab Mancini. You know, so we've been rocking and rolling with some really cool people. So, any questions about that, Kris or Joseph?
Oh, sounds great.
Yeah, awesome. So, Jared, you're going to share something.
So the judges for today, just so everybody knows exactly what role they're playing. So we have Michael Smikun, who is a partner at Callagy Law, as one of the very serious judges. I can see in his eyes he's just ready to play. We have Gene McNaughton from Success Resources. Thank you, Lorelei, for getting Gene to join us. And we have the wonderful Kay and Shai, absolute rock star sisters, entrepreneurs that have just done the most wonderful things in the world and continue to do for their franchise chain. And Adam Gugino is going to be the one role playing. So let's get it going, Sean. Let
Absolutely.
it begin.
By the way, Adam Gugino has the unique distinction. Michael Smikun, 2 top 100 national jury verdicts. Adam Gugino, Kay and Shai have created extraordinary outcomes in the tens of millions of dollars generated in programs in the personal development space, as well as being incredible franchisees and restaurant owners, franchisors and restaurant owners. And Adam Gugino took his company from $3 to $700 million in about 3 years and built a call center team from 0 to 500 people, which for me is one of the most impressive business acceleration stories ever heard. Inc. 500 magazine, 3 consecutive years, extraordinary. And Success Resources just speaks for itself. It's the gold standard on the planet. So we are very, very thankful to have the ability to show what we're up to and say, hey, do you think we have the stuff to do something together? Like, so it's a tryout, like judges, people of accomplishment, incredible things going on. And this is what the Real Raw Role Play is all about. It's how we reveal truth, how we play and have fun together. Adam Gugino, we're going to go this way. Joseph, I think you are in California, are you not?
That's correct.
Yeah. And Kris, you're in Utah?
That's right.
So Joseph is the away team. So I'm going to have Joseph a number 1 or a number 2 under the table. It's like flipping a coin. And what number do you think I have?
You have 2.
It is 2. Joseph McClendon has won the toss. And now you get to elect, Joseph, in the first round to go first or second. If you choose to go first in the first round, then you could still choose where you go in the second round, right? It's kind of like deferring. And if you choose to go second in the first round, then Kris picks in the second round. So will you go first? Will you go first and essentially retain choice, or go second and give the choice to Kris in the second round?
I'll go first. I'll go second, first round, and give the choice to Kris.
Awesome. Kris Krohn, you're up. Adam Gugino, 3 minutes on the clock. Let's go.
Go. Morning, Kris.
Morning. All right, Joseph, how you doing today?
I'm good.
I got to tell you, I have seen you speak at Tony Robbins on so many occasions, and I'm just so impressed by who you are as a human being and the love that's in your heart, how you make people shake their ass, and how you love people. I think it's really amazing.
Well, thank you. I definitely appreciate that.
You're welcome. Hey, so my curiosity for you today is I'm getting to know you and you're getting to know me. I specialize in the space of finance, investment, basically helping people get some of the highest and best ROIs that they can in their life. And my question for you today is, in this world that we live in, especially with coronavirus and everything going on, stock market, et cetera, like, how are you feeling confidence-wise about your portfolio, about your wealth strategy? And do you feel like you're getting all the growth that you're looking for?
You know, actually, this time and space has given me an opportunity to really look at my finances, spend more time with my family, and I'm really comfortable, like where I am right now. I'm really comfortable about how things are going.
Dude, good for you. That is super exciting. I love that. Is there any part of your wealth strategy that you feel like you want to work on or strengthen, or if there was a part of it that could be better, what do you think that would be?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm always looking to improve every aspect of my life, and I guess from a wealth strategy perspective, just always looking long-term security for my family.
Awesome. One of my curiosities, there's a lot of people that put their money in investments and the purpose is to like grow the base, grow the value of it. And then there's other people that actually convert that into active cash flow, a passive residual income. And that's what gives even a higher degree. Do you feel like you're getting all the passive income that you want from your investments?
You know, I do think that I'm getting a relatively strong passive income, but like I said, I'm always looking for opportunities, the newest investments to really keep me ahead of the curve, especially with, of course, what's happening right now. It's just shown that there's really nothing secure. So I'm always looking at diversity when it comes to investing.
Got it. Awesome. Well, Adam, so one of the things that I do is over the last 15 years, and especially established myself in 2008 and on, I've done over $1 billion worth of real estate. And what I've been doing is I've been helping people build their portfolios outside of REITs, outside of the stock market. And essentially I've been helping people create superior cash flow in their life that leads to a higher degree of financial freedom. In fact, compared to the stock market, we are outperforming it literally 20-1 over a 20-year period of time. Like, we are killing it in that space. I've got a publication on my last 4,000 deals. And if there's any curiosity you have about earning 25 to 30% annual ROIs, a higher degree of cash flow,
10
I
seconds.
can give you that publication. We can sit down and talk about it. Would you have any interest there?
I mean, yeah, I'm always, like I said, interested in hearing more and learning more about financial security. 3 minutes.
All right. Well, dude, let's get together. Let me get you that publication, and let's do coffee and have a little bit of a chit chat and see if there's anything that can improve your situation. If not, would love to honestly just get to know you better. Seeing you at the Unblinded stage, seeing what you've done has just been amazing. And what you do in the call center world is so incredible. And so would love that opportunity.
Great. Yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Chris, how'd that feel for you?
I think that I had a hard time establishing some pain rapport with Adam, because I think that he's got his head financially screwed on straight. And so I had to ask multiple questions to see if there was room for any lacking confidence. And I think he feels pretty good about his scenario for the offerings and services that I provide. But I do think we found, a little bit of uncertainty that we dug in on and basically opened the door to see if there were some potential opportunities or worth a meetup. Yeah.
Joseph, any feedback for Chris?
Damn, Chris, call me up. you had me at hello.
So Joseph McClendon, you had me at hello. There we go. So Joseph, are you ready to roll your?
Spectacular, my friend. This is my first time experiencing you, so I thought it was great.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, Joseph.
Awesome. So Joseph, judges, let's get our scores down for Chris. 10 being that, Adam had to just run and join him. 0 being run away. 5 being, and then everywhere in between, how much he saw his future in him, how much pain was exposed. Yeah, that's our first round up. And then Joseph, are you ready to go, sir?
Absolutely.
Dr. Joseph McClendon is on. So here we go. Take it away, Adam. 3 minutes.
Go ahead, Joseph.
Hey, Adam, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Are you enjoying this time sequestered in your home?
You know, I would say that I'm definitely experiencing a lot of great things as I would not have thought that this was possible to really accelerate through this time, but yes.
That's spectacular. Well, listen, at this stage, Adam, you know more about me than I know about you. So would you mind if I asked you a few questions just so I can learn more about you? Maybe I could serve you in that way?
Sure. I have a few minutes and I got to pause and then we could jump back into it.
Perfect. Take us less than 3 minutes. And the only thing I ask is that you be dirt honest. You know, what happens here in this raw stays here. If you'd be dirt honest with me, let's leave the ego aside and I'll do the same with you. So just if you would let me know, what is the most important thing in your life?
The most important thing in my life right now is ultimately legacy.
Is legacy. Can you tell me what that means?
Yeah, I mean, the impact that I can have on not just people that work for me, but around me, my family. It's ultimately the mark that I leave on this earth and the positive influence I create is what means the most to me.
Okay, so legacy often means, you know, when I'm gone, you know, when I leave, and, you know, heaven forbid anything happen to you soon. But if you were to leave now, would you have accomplished and left the type of legacy that you know you could have, maybe if you had lived a little bit longer?
Absolutely not.
Okay, no, absolutely not. And so what is it that's missing?
You know, it's not that I see something missing, it's that there's just so much more out there for me to.
Absolutely. And by the way, are those Siamese fighting fish behind you there?
Those are fighting fish, yes. Yes, they are. And the fish gets a little dirty, but it gets dirty every day. I'm sorry.
No, I know. I had them, and there's why I asked. I had some before.
Yes.
And so let me ask you a question, because I know you gotta go. Have you ever noticed that there's some people that seem to have it all? There's some people that even though they don't have all the knowledge, that they seem to land on their feet all the time, that the ball always seems to bounce in their favor. And those people, you might call it luck or whatever, and maybe you've even been one of those people. Ever notice that in people?
Yeah, it does seem that way, that there are people that always have that magical scenario happen for them. Yeah, I do see that.
And would it be safe to say that they have something that, and you, I know you probably experienced that as well in your life. You seem like one of those magical kind of people, but it would be safe to say that those people may have something that knowingly or unknowingly that allows them to do that.
10 seconds. I mean, you know, I'm always curious to know how people have achieved the accomplishments they have, for sure.
Fabulous. Well, in these 10 seconds, I'm going to invite
3
you
minutes.
on what that is. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
We're going to continue the second half and the second round. So Joseph McClendon, outstanding job. Joseph, how did that feel for you?
It felt good. 3 minutes is certainly, there's a time crunch there. I tend to be a little bit long-winded. If anybody's been around me, you know that. So crunching it in, but I felt pretty good about it.
Yeah, so loved Joseph's congruence, right? His depth of questioning, getting into legacy, that was incredible, right? Opened up emotional rapport at a super deep level in a short period of time. So those things were exceptionally there. You felt Adam's certainty get disrupted at some level as he stepped into some level of, we'll call it uncertainty, if not pain, right? Like that was clearly present. And would it be, so we're gonna jump in with the judges just in a moment. But Kris, could I jump in, and Joseph, just for a minute and a half with Adam to illustrate something really quickly for everybody? Would that work, Kris and Joseph?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So one of the things that I talk about in the dynamic of integrity-based influence is it depends on who we're communicating with. So often, incredibly effective communicators can very easily overpower people, right? So just your linguistic skill set, your energy can easily overwhelm. As we get to more and more sophisticated people, and how about this very simply, people of greater certainty, it becomes much more difficult and challenging to create those disruptions. So let's say that, Michael Smikun is a judge right now. Michael, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Sean.
Okay. So Michael is somebody who is incredibly conservative, Kris, in his investing strategy. and he has been quite successful. Are those both things true, Michael?
Yes, both true.
Okay. So let's say we're talking to Michael, and we're talking about investing in the space that you just talked about. And Michael, Michael, fair to say you're very comfortable with your investment strategy currently.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So let's play this game for a minute, right? Real quickly. So, hey, Michael, again, Kris Krohn here. Obviously we know each other incredibly well. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing super well, Chris. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. And so my understanding, Michael, is like you're super comfortable and certain about where you sit in the space of your investments today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't want to put my money anywhere that I can't in some way have an impact.
Have an impact, meaning?
Just being able to make small shifts and changes. Like, I hate investing my money in the stock market just because I can't have any results, right? The companies operate on their own.
Wow. Michael, we only have about 30 seconds to go. So quick question though is, what if that what I'm hearing, let me clarify something actually first. You're talking about the ability to impact. What I'm hearing is that your perception is your ability to control it. Is that fair?
That is true, yes. So
Okay.
Not so much impact, so much control, yeah.
Right, so you see your money being invested in things related to yourself. You have a lot more control and predictability than you would in the stock market, real estate, or something like that, that those things are out of control. Your abilities are in your control. Is that fair?
Yes, you're saying it better than I ever would, yes.
Yeah, so that's a fundamental core strategy of everything you're basing your and your entire family's financial future on, yes?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. So, and listen, Michael, and I've heard you speak before, you define your life and your legacy first and foremost as a family man, putting your family and your children first beyond anything, yes?
Yes, 100%.
Why is that?
I mean, in all honesty, Sean, like there's a lot of things that come and go, but the kind of love that you feel and the connection you feel to, your 3-year-old or your daughter, right, or your son or whatever it is just you can't put a feeling in the world. There's nothing that amounts to that, or nothing that can make you feel as fulfilled and have your cup filled up as much as spending time with your family, your wife, and kids.
It's everything, right? Like everything else is just like around that core of everything. That's what I'm hearing you say.
That's right. Yeah, 100%.
And providing for them, protecting for them, and building ultimately their legacy. That's what life is about for you. Yes?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So listen, I only got like 20 seconds left. I know you're super busy. My hallucination is, and I care about you very much, that your entire strategy of how you think about money is potentially dramatically off. Because the control that you think you have versus the predictability of some other mechanisms, I think might not be actually logically accurate. It might be just deeply based in emotion. If that's true, then, and I'm saying this friend to friend, your entire strategy compromises ultimately all the things you're talking about. And if I'm right, do you see that?
I see how it could be, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I'm not asking you to believe it. I'm asking for a half-an-hour conversation where I could show you some things that I think would be incredibly empowering. And it's not like an or, it's an and. Would you give me that half an hour?
Yeah, without a doubt, you have it.
Okay. So I don't know, with that said, Kris, what's present for you?
I loved the level of intimacy that you created there because there's a natural friendship there that I could tell that you spoke really heart to heart. And then I feel like there was such 10 out of 10 energy on that call to action, because what you were asking for is you created a gap of uncertainty. You questioned something that he thought he had great confidence in. You created an opening for a consciousness to see what wasn't present, potentially for him. And then to say, give me 30 minutes of your time and let me share more what I mean. And even when you actually dropped a small distinction, you don't even have to agree, but are you open to? I just thought was a really masterful way of creating clarity, as well as follow up for a really strong ask.
Okay. And Kris, so do you believe, Kris Krohn, like you, do you believe that Michael Smikun or somebody else would be better off having at least a portion of what they're doing with their money and their life invested beyond their own business, which actually runs completely contrary to things that Tony Robbins would speak about in the financial program. Tony would say that the biggest mistake we could make is by betting the way Michael's betting, by betting on ourselves and our control. So Tony would say, and has said at the programs, that we want to make sure we have diversity because we could get sick. The market could crash. Like the entire legal industry can collapse and change and be eliminated by artificial, like all these variables that are actually outside of our control. So Kris, do you believe fundamentally that Michael will be better off having a diversity that includes the real estate world you talk about?
100%.
Yeah. So it's just creating an integrity-based disruption because you know stuff he doesn't know. So that's all. And I think that great. So Joseph, how did I do at creating a scotoma?
Well, I didn't so much notice the scotoma as I did notice that you did create an open space for his uncertainty. In other words, in your ask, you started to ask early on. In other words, your way of going about it, there was an ask in your voice. And so I think you smoothly did it to by the time you got to the place that you go, would you be willing to give me that time? He'd said yes so many times in so many ways that it was an automatic shoe-in. So yeah. As opposed to a disruption, I saw it as a smooth flow through, which is for his style. For Michael's style, that is much easier for him to say yes to that. For Adam, I chose to use something that was much more disruptive because of the time sequence and the nature of Adam's personality. And so I think you smoothly did that.
Awesome. And honestly, Joseph, how you feeling so far about how like the Real Raw works? Like, is this?
Yeah, this is fun. This is fun.
And Sean, do you mind if I just comment for a moment on Joseph? Because I sat there and I was like, wow, you were given only 3 minutes and you went literally what appeared to be literally going into the dark to find any pain anywhere in his life. Yeah. And it is one of the biggest risks I think you can take when you only have 3 minutes to connect and make an offering. Yeah. I feel like you were one question away from your offer. So you needed like 3 minutes and maybe like 20 more seconds because I feel like you were building up and right at that moment when they called the clock. But I just thoroughly enjoyed watching your approach to being vulnerable enough and raw enough to go anywhere that the conversation could. Of course, you're talented enough with your product offerings that you could probably offer anything in that space as long as there's an opening. So I just enjoyed watching that. It was done really, really masterfully.
Well, thank you. And I may have misunderstood the instruction then. I didn't know that I was supposed to make an offer then.
Oh no, you definitely weren't, Joseph. So you did it like perfect because you're going to be making that offer in round 2. So awesome. And Kris, thank you. Great feedback. So let's go to the judges. Let's go first to Gene, our amazing guest. Welcome to the Real Raw Role Play.
Hey, everybody. Hey, great job, both folks, Joseph and Kris. You know what I love about sales is there's multiple ways of which to get to the outcome. And our job as sellers, influencers, and persuaders is to have multiple tools in our tool set and then be able to read body language to be able to understand language patterns that the other person's using. I prefer an approach that would say, first of all, in a short amount of time, say that I want to be respectful of your time. Let's get right to the point. And then qualify yourself by saying, we or I work with people who are, and if it's a financial pitch that are, concerned about their current investments or looking to create even greater returns. And I think the first question is how would you describe yourself? I like, Joseph being a doctor, and I've known Joseph for a long time, is going to go right into the questioning mode. And I appreciate that because, people will judge you more on the level of and quality of questions you ask than they will on your product knowledge. Kris, I love your elegant use of language patterns. And you move right into what do you think about sitting down to review, right? What people want right now, we have to remember, everybody that's watching this, is that, most of us were taught to sell on value, which is price, quality, and service. Today, the decision process is radically changed. People will make decisions based on money, not price. In other words, all of you watching this right now if I just look at your cell phone, that'll prove it to me. You will spend more money on something if you understand the value in it. the car you drive, the house you live in. The phone is the easiest one because we've all got phones. Because if it was just a price decision, you'd still have flip phones, right? The second thing we make decisions on is risk. We want to make safe decisions. And the last one is time. How can you speed up my life? How can you get me what I need faster, or get me to my true north, my end zone, or out of pain faster? So if we think about money, risk, and time as the true barriers before yes, and you can solve those in your 3 minutes, 6 minutes, most people are not going to make a pitch in 3 minutes, but I understand the forum here. But I thought both were great. Awesome. I would go, if I'm a judge, I would go, I'm a consultant and I sell large consulting deals. I'm more in favor of the ask questions up front and ask good questions that get people thinking in an unusual way. So you don't sound salesy, you sound more like a doctor that's trying to put together a prescription to an issue.
So what would you go, if you had a score, Gene, what would you give scores for Kris and Joseph?
Well, I don't know Kris, and he looks pretty big, so don't be pissed at me. Pretty shredded up there. So I would say right now, and 8 Joseph, 7 Kris.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Gene. What do we got for Michael Smikun? What do you got for these incredible people?
Hey, so I'm with Gene. I thought both of them did an incredible job in doing this. I'm going to start with Kris. I thought his questions were tremendous. His congruence, his vocal qualities, his emotional transportation off the charts. This is clearly a guy who does this often, is well practiced, and really cares, right? Because it comes through in his authenticity. I thought that he occupied this wonderful space of this Zeus aspirational energy, where he was talking about the future and he was leading down the path. He had great certainty. That's what I thought that he did really great. I thought he did a tremendous job dropping into his unique identity. The only growth area that I would add for Kris is potentially trying to elicit more of Adam's or Joseph's, whoever he was talking to, a little more of his pain, to really connect who he is and what he can do by understanding and appreciating the pain, or where his biggest yes strategy lies. That's the only thing that I would have changed, but I gave Kris, and I'm a high scorer, so I apologize for that. I gave Kris a solid 9
right.
on his delivery. Yeah,
and for Joseph,
I think Joseph did a tremendous job. I again am with Gene. I love the questions, and I thought that Joseph's questions were so much more probing, so much more caring, so much more appropriate. There was the emotional transportation, vocal qualities. These guys are both masters, and so I thought that Joseph asked some great questions. Really did a tremendous job of exposing Adam's purpose, his legacy, and it made Joseph. It made me magnetically attracted to Joseph, even though he wasn't even listening or talking to me. In all honesty, I struggled with the growth area, Sean. Joseph, I don't know what to say. I don't think that there was the things that I would change, and I gave him a 9.5.
Boom. Awesome. All right, Kay and Shai, what's up? The dynamic duo.
Hey. Well, both of you guys did such a fantastic job. Kris, you have a little bit of a tough job here. I mean, Joseph is literally a doctor on the brain, and he studied how to influence yourself with the brain. So it's reading your works, Joseph, and being a student of yours, I feel like you had an unfair advantage here.
But Kris, you did a great job.
You did a great job.
I think one of the ways that we really wanted to encapsulate your performance was articulate. You were very confident and articulate with what you were presenting, and the way that you could value proposition yourself was really good. I think that for areas of improvement in Kris, we saw that kind of went straight to that sale mode almost, and with the goal being that rapport building, there could have been a little bit more depth, especially when it came to kind of the yes or no questioning there.
It seemed like the questions that you posed were easily answered with a yes or a no, instead of being open enough for Adam to fill in and start painting his own picture, kind of where he was at, which would have given you more to work with as far as digging deeper on some of those pain points. And Kris, the very first time we ever saw you on social media, I'm like, oh man, this is a Zeus energy, hands down a Zeus energy. And then you started popping up on my social media, and your videos are like kind and loving and like open and warm, and it's this totally different energy than what I had anticipated you to have. And today you showed up with all Zeus, and I'm like, but where's the aspirational Kris that I love and that I've gotten to know over your social media? So you did a fantastic job. Just want to see more of you shine through.
And then on Joseph, I mean, it was so masterfully woven, the questions, and we wrote it down. I mean, at this point, you know more about me than I know about you. Like, oh my gosh, that is such a good transition.
Yeah.
And I think it really is a good example of the fact that your transitions were seamless. They were so, so good. If we had one area of improvement, maybe too deep, too quick, sometimes the first question out the gate of what's most important in life right now might be like, but you had 3 minutes and you masterfully did it really well. Our scores for Kris, we gave you an 8.2 because we are point people.
And for Joseph, we gave you a 9.4 because yes, we are point people.
Thank you.
Outstanding job, ladies and gentlemen. So great job, great energy, super, super thankful and excited to roll into the second roundup. Kris, it is your choice. Would you like to go first or second in this round?
I'll go second.
Awesome. Okay, so Kris is going to go second, Joseph first. The outcome of this round is now to deliver your unique identity into the pain and seek an agreement. Now, if you are not yet, if you feel you haven't yet fully opened the pain, feel free to ask questions, do whatever you want. The scoring, though, is going to be based on how powerfully, with humility, so it's received optimally, you're sharing who you are and why you can solve these problems. Similar to what Gene was referring to. There's like clear value there. There's no question you're going to accelerate the time and things are going to happen. Like it's clarity. Like, yeah, it's an iPhone. This is what it does for me. How do you create your iPhone presentation so that people see their future in you, feel pulled towards you, and are saying yes? Any questions, Kris or Joseph?
All good.
Is this a continuation of the previous conversation, or is this a fresh start conversation?
Yeah, this is a continuation, Kris, because it could be a pause. So you can pick it up wherever you left off. Like Adam had to take a phone call. I was like, oh, hold on 1 minute, and created that gap, and now we're jumping back in.
Great question. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. So Adam, take it away, 3 minutes.
I'm back, Joseph. Let's get rolling.
Hey, man, thanks for your time. Hey, listen, and again, they've given me 3 minutes to do this, so I want to make sure that I serve you best in that. Remember, we just finished talking about that there are people that do things and get results, and they may have something different. Would you be interested in learning maybe a little bit more about what that is so that you can incorporate that and I can help you feel better about leaving a legacy?
I love learning and modeling others that have, paved the way.
Fabulous. Well, as I said before, you know a bit more about me than I do about you. So thank you for opening up and sharing that with you. But I'll share with you a little bit something you might not know about myself. That by profession, I'm a neuropsychologist. And I help people get over the challenges, the fears, phobias, and the emotional things that block them from getting what they want. And so one of the things I specialize in, myself and my team, is helping people figure out exactly how they function as a human being, and then how to use that information to get the very best out of themselves. And so if I could help you figure out those things that help you feel better about your legacy, would that be something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Spectacular. One of the things that I noticed about those people that tend to land on their feet and feel good about themselves is that they have a level of certainty and confidence about themselves. And I can tell that about you. I don't know you well, but I can tell you've got a level of that as well. On a scale from 1 to 10, what would you say that your level of certainty about your legacy, to be able to leave a great legacy, is at this stage right now? First question. Second question, what would you want it to be so that you could feel certain about leaving a legacy?
That's a great question. I would say right now where things stand, I'm above a 9.0.
Nice.
And ultimately, I refuse to finish any lower than a 9.9999.
I love that. Fabulous. And I would expect nothing less from you. Well, I want to share with you something. And actually, if you'll allow me to give you a gift. And the gift is free of charge. Well, let me take that back. I'm going to charge you something. The only thing I'm going to ask you is that you give me your feedback and that you give me your progress in that. And that is it. So if you would write something down, if you would. You've got something to write with? Okay.
Got a pen? Yeah.
Write down, I am Joseph, Joseph, McClendon, and that's McClendon.
30 seconds.
Okay. And if you would go to my Instagram and just put that in, just put in I am Joseph McClendon, and then right below my profile, if you click on that, there is something that says Self-Certainty Masterclass. And it is my gift to you free of charge. There's no credit card, there's nothing. And if you'll take that and just go through the process, it's an audio program with a workbook in it that I promise you will get you that outcome that you want to make so that you'll have the certainty about leaving that legacy. Would you do that?
I already did it.
Fantastic. Beautiful. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you.
Outstanding job. Joseph McClendon. How was that for you, Joseph?
You know, I felt good. Again, here's the fun thing for me, and even coming into this, is the uncertainty in me about what we're doing. I always listen as much as I possibly can. That's just kind of my job. And so when you gave me instructions, I try to stick strictly to that instruction. However, I'm long-winded. That's the way I roll. And to get that deep in somebody, to be able to find those things out, I need more than 3 minutes, but this has been a spectacular challenge and I love it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Joseph. And I completely agree. So could I give you one quick thought?
Yes, please.
In every situation, right? So we talk about the power of conveying our heroic, unique identity. So, I mean,
repeat that, please. I didn't quite understand.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So we talk about powerfully conveying your heroic, unique identity, right? Mm-hmm. That's a core part of integrity-based human influence as we teach it. The 4 steps, the 10 indispensable elements, 4 energies. Your 4 energy variance is a 9-point, we never give 10s, 9.999999999 off the charts. There's 4 energies: fun, aspirational, goddess, Zeus. Like, you have such like you're fun for sure, right? You have Zeus, which is decision, certainty, congruence, right? Decision. Zeus is the energy of decision. There's so much goddess is like love, compassion, empathy present, and you unlock aspiration, talking legacy, vision, dream, where it's going. So that variance, that's why Bruce Springsteen is Bruce Springsteen, Dr. Joseph McClendon is Dr. Joseph McClendon, Oprah is Oprah. The ability to vary those 4 energies is the superpower of magnetic influence. This is what I believe, what I teach, right? So that's like amazing. And the way you question and how you present, I think Gene mentioned this as well, couldn't agree more. And you mentioned this, Joseph, for sure, is a part of how you convey your identity, how you listen, how you're framing your questions gives those impressions. At the end, just one end, even in that, I know it's 3 minutes, right? So, but always, because people would say sometimes, well, you don't really want to talk about yourself. And I would fundamentally disagree with that there's a place to talk about ourselves, I believe, because otherwise people may not know who we are. Now, somebody like Joseph could say, well, of course they knew who I am. I mean, they saw me in front of 15,000 people, right? Here's what's realistic, the reality for me. There's 4 steps of the process. To me, the first portion is asking people who they are, about their all the beautiful things Joseph did. He unlocked legacy. He went deep with Adam. And he's inviting Adam to step into his greatness, his dreams, his aspirations. Adam's not going to settle for a 9. He's committed to a 9.999, right? So Adam has already shared his greatness. Joseph's greatness is so epically unbelievable. By the way, as is like everybody who's on the screen, right? I think just Joseph reminding people gently at some point, fluidly, say, listen, I don't say this to brag like at anything, but there's a reason that I went from at some point being virtually homeless to speaking in front of 15,000 people and writing best-selling books and speaking in front of millions at a time, coaching some of the top people in the world. There's a structure to that. And what I do is unlock that structure. Just a quick, like, place-holding reminder of who people are speaking to. Because I think so often people drop into their own head and they could easily forget, like, oh my God, this is Joseph McClendon. This dude has done all these things I want to do and live that life. I know your thoughts on that, Joseph. And I know pretend it was not 3 minutes, just in general, you sharing and reminding people gently with humility of your magnificence, your mastery.
Well, first off, thank you for that. And I got to be honest, and it is so true. I get this a lot at the risk of sounding arrogant. People say, Joseph, you make it look so easy. And I got to be honest with you, it is all calculated. It really is. Yeah, I've done a lot. And in my other business, on stage, I get to incorporate that part of it into my other businesses as well. But everything's mechanical. Everything has a reason and a purpose. And I even say that from stage. Everything that I do, from where I stand to what I say, the questions that I ask, the expressions on my face, everything has a reason and a purpose, and it's all calculated. But I want to share with you what you just said about, I forget the term you used for it, but speaking about yourself. I disagree with I agree with you about disagreeing with what other people say about you don't talk about yourself. No, I think if you don't, well, let me tell you where that came from. It came from my dear friend, Tony. Early on, when I first met him, he invited me, because we became friends before we became business partners. And he invited me to one of his one-day business seminars. And he got there, and I was a little cocky, and I was a musician and that kind of thing. And I just, we got there, and I went through the whole process, and he told all these salespeople, here's who I am, here's what I do. And at the end of it, he did something that to this day I do, and it's what we're doing right now. It's called a debrief. What was great, blah, blah, blah. And so he went around the room to all the people that were on his crew and on his staff there asking these questions. And when he got to me, I was just kind of a wallflower because I wasn't part of that team. He got to me and he goes, Joseph, what did you think? You're the newcomer in the team. Now me, because he's my friend and I'm not intimidated by him, I was being a little cocky, and I go, dude, I've never heard anybody use the letter I more than you. I said, it was I this, it was I that, and I'm being kind of a smart ass. And I actually was saying it, I'm humorous and that kind of thing. And I was expecting him to kind of chuckle and, just kind of be gotcha'd. But what he said was his eyes lit up and he goes, yeah, isn't it great? And he goes, look, Joseph, if you don't tell them about yourself, they won't know what you want them to know. He says, you got to tell them. And I remember thinking in that moment, this guy is right. And so since that moment, and it is part of my influence model, matter of fact, I think it's the first thing. And you know why? Because it's part of a connection, because they can't disagree with you. If you're telling them, here's who I am, here's what I've done, here's all these things, they can't disagree with you. They can't go, no, you haven't. And as soon as they agree with you, then you create even more connection. So thank you for that.
Oh my God, Joseph, I wish we had 40 hours to talk about all the unbelievably amazing. Thank you for that incredible share. And I'm a huge student of Tony for an incredibly long time, 23 years, not as long as you, for a long time. And I'll hear people fundamentally who are enormous followers of your work and Tony's work, and they'll say things like, well, I really don't want to talk about myself and things. And I'll be like, do you go to Tony Robbins seminars? And I love Tony to no end. I mean, I planted 5 billion trees. I've saved 10 million people from sexual slavery. And again, appropriately, like owning what he's done to inspire and to remind you who he is. I coached this person, I did that. Yeah, I'm with Barack Obama and everybody else is in the circle, and I'm making sure I'm disrupting him, which is displaying heroic characteristics of courage, truth, integrity, not being a follower, being a true leader. Like, it embodies all that. You do the same thing. When you're up on stage, you're like, I'm amazing. You create all these pattern interrupts. It's beautiful. So the marker in the ground that I'd like to, from today at the very least, is to remind people of what Joseph just said. If you don't tell them, they won't know. But there's a sequencing to doing it, structure, as Joseph also said.
There's two pieces of that, Sean.
Yeah.
They won't know what you want them to know in that moment. Because I could tell about other things, like you just said, Tony talks about the contribution and things like that. But in that moment, I only had 3 minutes, so I wanted him to know that piece about me that was going to serve him in that way. The other thing is what allows us to be able to do that. And you're right. If you've been with me, I literally will stand on stage and tell everybody I'm amazing, not about any specific thing. And I'll go, I'm amazing, yes. But what allows me to do that, and I'm humorous, and I don't advocate that everybody be humorous. That's just my thing. But what allows me to do that, and this is the lesson for everybody that I learned, and that is that connection first. If you have that connection to somebody's heart, you can do whatever you want. You can talk about yourself. You can push that boundary. You can tell people, just real quickly, I'm going to tell you something that, do you know Nick Santonastasso?
I do. He was on the Real Raw last week.
Yeah. Nick, for those of you who don't know him, was born with no arms, no legs, one arm, one finger, and that's it. And he's just a fantastic guy. Well, embarrassing story, but it's true, but it proves my point with regard to connection. If you've been with me in anything that I do, not just a UPW, one of the things that I condition people to do is I'll say, put your books down. And what people do is they stand up. So I condition them to stand up because look, I just saw Kay and she, they did it, okay? And so it's part of there's a reason behind it. I won't go into that. So I walk out on stage, and every time I walk out there, I'll tell, put your books down, I'll have everybody stand up. Well, I looked in the audience, and there's one man that's not standing up, okay? In the front, in like the first 3 or 4 rows. And so if you've been with me, you know I'll call that person out. And I got a camera crew that'll drop a camera on them, and I'll make that person, I'll make an example of that person. And so I look in the audience, there's this young man that's not standing up. And so I zero in on him, I go, dude, why aren't you standing up? And then the seas parted, and I could see that he's sitting in a wheelchair, and he only has one arm and no legs.
Oh my God.
And so in that moment, I just died. In that moment, I just felt so terrible. And the look on his face was like, really, dude? Come on, you know? The camera's on him and everything. And so, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. And so I felt terrible. And I go, well, you know, blah, blah, and I just kind of played it off, and I went back to my thing. So maybe about an hour later, I put the group into an exercise, and I came off the stage, and I went down to this man, Sean, and I said, listen, and I got down to his level, and I connected with him, and I go, listen, I deeply apologize. And it was amazing. I get chills when I think about it now, because he looked me in the eyes, and this big, beautiful smile came on his face. And he said, no problem, dude. He said, I'm with you. He said, that's okay. I love you. And then he reached out with his arm and gave me a hug. And it was the most beautiful thing. And then, you know, I talked to him about it later. As a matter of fact, he was on my podcast yesterday. And I asked him, I said, do you remember that? And he goes, of course. And he said, you know, I just felt so connected to you. You could have done anything you wanted. It didn't bother me at all. And so there is a process that I go through to connect with people, and that is the most in the football field of influence. 60 yards, 60% of that influence is connection, and then you can talk about yourself.
Boom, right, and thank you, Joseph, for that. Outstanding. Kris Krohn, brother.
What's up?
You know, I just have a quick question before we roll into the second round. How does it feel to like own your own convention center and do your own like events in your own world? Like, how does that work in life?
Well, it's really awesome other than when everyone is quarantined.
And then it's less awesome.
Yeah. And then it's a little less awesome. I feel like I'm like doing my YouTube videos in my center in front of millions of people, but the seats are all empty. It's awesome.
Wow.
By the way, love being the student today. Like, what a gift for me. I'm learning so much from everyone here, from our judges, from Joseph. Really enjoying this. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
Yes, and I want to acknowledge this. Kris, we've done a ton together. And Kris, you've been in the house where I'm sitting. You and I co-created on the couches that are behind me. And I am so grateful that you're here. And, you know, thanks for, you know, sharing this space and giving Joseph some space. It's his first time in the Real Raw environment.
He's crushing it.
Yeah. And Kris, let me also acknowledge this. Kris is one of the greatest process mastery geniuses I've ever met. Kris has the ability to add value and to effectively have built a process on YouTube to create monetization, connection, and relationship with his people at a higher level than I would make a wager than anybody subscriber for subscriber. Kris may be the best in the world at it. Number one, to the point that he's created a Silicon Valley startup that I've been fortunate enough to be included in to like help demonstrate that in a whole different platform, which is a story for a different day. But I just want to acknowledge you, Kris, for your genius and brilliance in the world as we roll into round 2.
Awesome. I'm ready. Thank you, Sean.
All right. So Adam, take us away. Kris Krohn.
Kris, let's do this. You got this. 3 minutes. Clock starts now.
So, Adam, I just got to tell you, I don't often meet people that have your level of certainty and confidence in their financial choices. And there's got to be really important reasons that have driven you to like do such a great job organizing yourself financially. Like, what are some of those reasons that like authentically have really driven that for you?
Always thought about making sure that I could provide the security for my family. And that has been, even before, you know, I found myself seeing a future with someone, I was always thinking in that way, that I wanted financial security for everyone that was close to me.
No, I think that's amazing. I mean, wanting to connect and like, that just tells me a lot about who you are as a person. And so like, do you feel like you're done on your financial journey now? Or when it comes to your family and providing the way you want, what for you is your next goal? What's your next game?
Yeah, I mean, look, right now, I don't feel like I'm where I need to be. Everything I bring in now, I'm investing back into my business to help it grow. So from that standpoint, yeah, there's definitely some.
Awesome. And what I hear you saying is that you're definitely investing a lot into your own business. A lot of people do that. Do you feel like you have all the other diversifications that will help meet you and your family's financial goals?
Long term right now, no, there's definitely some areas that I know I need to improve on, for sure.
All right. And like, just curious, how important is it to you to meet those financial goals in the long term, but also
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely important. When I talk about legacy, I'm really talking about the perception with my family, and you know, I want to make sure that no matter what, whether I'm here or not, that I'm remembered as somebody that provided for everybody that meant something to me.
And then Adam, just as a curiosity, because everyone wants to take care of their family well, but like, what is one thing that's really unique about your financial goals that you want to give to your family that maybe your parents weren't able to give you? Like, what's one of those things that's like super important for you?
Listen, I want absolute abundance. I want to be able to tell my wife, my kids that I want to be able to never have to say no. Maybe say no just to teach them a lesson here or there.
Yeah.
I never want to ever say no about anything because of a financial reason.
Dude, you're a rock star. I love that about you. Thank you for sharing that. You know, for me, in my life, I know what it's like to be deeply in debt, have no money, and can't even put food on the table. And that's what inspired me in a very short period of time to figure out how to get my act together. And I feel like you've been doing that for your family as well. Here's something I'd love for you to consider. How would you feel about scheduling time, 30 minutes, where I can go a little bit deeper into possibilities that might be an acceleration for your short-term and long-term goals, just to explore and see if there's some possibilities? What do you think?
I'm open to exploration.
Awesome. Let's set up some time. Let's get a chance to connect, come together, and you know, maybe we'll find something there. Maybe we won't, but either way, I'll enjoy getting to know you and your goals and things that are important to you a lot better.
Sure.
Awesome. Kris Krohn, ladies and gentlemen. Kris, how was that for you?
Honestly, I was just so mesmerized by how deeply Joseph was connecting, and I misunderstood the first round by thinking I needed to get a call to action in 3 minutes. So I was glad that I had time to actually back up and say, wait a second, I really want to just connect more authentically with Adam and learn more about who he is. I felt like the walls came down, and I felt like I got some real connection there. It wasn't a role play. It was like, wow, this Adam's amazing. I love that.
Well, listen, Kris, you've already won your original Real Raw role play. So you're already into the influence off with the likes of Les Brown, Dr. Fab Mancini, Brad Sugars, founder of Action Coaching, etc. So Kris, this is just like more unfair advantage play for you. So you're doing a great job, brother.
Thank you, Sean.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
First off, Kris, that was brilliant. You are a quick study. I can tell that about you. And I want to be specific and really compliment you on something that you did straight off the top. You leveled the playing ground with him, which made Adam feel connected to you right away. Because what you did was you go, I don't often meet people with that level of certainty as you are. And I was watching him. Now, again, and if you play this back, you'll look at the visual cues. A great deal of Adam, his When he talks about himself, he goes like this. You know, his physiology is telling everything. But as soon as you did that, he was going like this. Very subtle, he was going like that. And when people do that, they're connected. And that was so masterful of when you did that, because what I felt that he felt in that moment as well was that this guy is my equal. And that's when people connect. This guy is like me. And Kris, your demeanor was, you know what? I may not be able to help you, but I'm interested in finding more about you. You took away the whole sales demeanor, the whole salesiness about it, by just asking those questions and being humble in that moment with them. So I commend you on that. That was absolutely beautiful.
Joseph,
Thank you, Joseph.
ladies and gentlemen. Awesome. Gene, what do you got for Joseph and Kris in terms of feedback, growth opportunities, and scores, sir?
So I'll be super to the point. Joseph, some great things. Got them writing. Hey, do you have a pen? Write this down. I am Joseph McClendon, and then he spelled it out. When you spell things out, you're unconsciously influencing people to actually write things down. Even if they're not, they're going to nod their head that they are. He did a great job of using what are called yes set questions. Would you do that? Right? That was great. And for both of them, one thing for all of y'all to think about is there's people will buy or take actions for different reasons. And there's really only two. They're called value sets. One is a moving towards value set. I can help you to create, achieve, do, be, or have. And then there's a moving away from value set. Some people are frustrated with blank, or, I've worked with people, or I've known people that didn't do something and got a negative outcome. So make sure both of y'all are hitting both value sets, moving towards, moving away from. And then as you read body language, you'll see what they're responding more to. Kris, I'm going to go to Kris. Is that okay, Sean, to go to Kris?
Oh yeah, please. Gene, this is your time, bro. Thank you. Your genius is clear. So please feel free to share. This is outstanding for everybody. Thank you.
First thing I wrote down is Kris started with a sincere compliment. He talked about certainty and confidence, right? Joseph caught that. His next question was also very brilliant when he got to understanding what Adam's reasons or his whys were to want to achieve that financial success or financial independence. And that would be one where you'd say, so I'm sure you said that for a reason. Can you tell me a little bit more? And get the other person talking. Remember, the person who talks the most is the one that's going to probably take the action as a seller. That's why you want to be in the position of the one asking the questions, because you own the direction of what that call, that meeting, that session you're doing. You fed back answers, and then you use that moving towards. So what I heard you saying was this. So it sounds like you're somebody who wants to do that. It was a moving towards value. So everybody write down moving away from and moving towards, because you've got to work both sides of it. The one area that I would give, and granted we all did this on the fly, right, is understanding the difference between an open-ended question and a closed-ended question. A closed-ended question is going to get a yes or no answer, and yet an open-ended question is going to get people to expound and elaborate. And that's where you find people will say things unconsciously, and that's when you're going to find the trigger that's going to cause them to make a decision to move forward with you. I think the question was, do you feel like you have blank, versus saying, tell me your perspective on where you are as it relates to. So those are different. So a yes or no answer really doesn't get you a lot more juice of which to get into what would be a presentation phase. So just, moderate those things. Both were great.
Gene, can I say this? So yeah. I want to acknowledge you and everybody in this. So we created this a month ago, and we've been running these episodes now for about 2.5 weeks, and it's been remarkable, what progress has happened. But we've had some really amazing people on already. Today, straight up, this is my favorite one that's happened yet. We had a lot more laughs and fun yesterday. We had some laughs today. But the genius and influence mastery skill sets of the people here, Kris Krohn, Dr. Joseph McClendon, Gene, and with all respect to who you are and accomplishments, I didn't know you coming in. Brother, I'm telling you, your dissection and precision of dynamics of influence is extraordinary. Extraordinary. And I listen, I've rewritten mock trial processes for people. So I'm like, this isn't like I read a book on coaching. Like I've been studying for 20 years. Your process and dissection pieces is just like, it's clinical. As is Kris and Joseph's, like extraordinary. Plus we have Kay and Shai, who are like dropping every bit of wisdom, micro distinctions, and Michael Smikun, who's been my partner, but an apprentice for the first 5 years, partner for like the last 6. So this is like amazing for me, and I am super excited. And whatever your answer is and whatever your world and business and life is, all good. But Gene, I'd love to have you on this and do some more stuff as a participant, because you've been incredible.
Thank you. That's great. Let's do it.
Yeah, awesome.
So what do you got? He was a badass.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Joseph. Right? Yeah. So what do you got for scores, Gene, for Joseph and Kris?
Oh, can I give a tie? Is that possible?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So if we don't give 10s, I thought both were excellent. And let's make sure we have the proper frame here. Y'all are doing this like off the top of your head, right in the middle of the moment. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. 9.9 for both. Both were great.
And Gene, Kris, and Joseph, I could just say this. So we're creating this, like all the tools of influence are at play with integrity and are building this show and what it's meant to do, which is a beautiful, much longer conversation and where we're going, what's happening already. So really we're creating influence offs, and Kris has already advanced. Joseph's going to advance if they would choose to be a part of it going forward with other amazing people. And we're just seeding and preparing, scoring to get a baseline of like, there's a competitive reality to this. But the teaching part is what this is really about, and the fun and the unlocking and the connecting amongst all of us. So thank you, Gene, Joseph, and Kris for your amazing contributions. Yeah.
Thank you.
Kay and Shai, you are rock stars amongst rock stars, and we need, want, and would love for you to be back doing more stuff more consistently as well in the Real Raw. This is like unbelievable people on today. So before you give scores and feedback, how are you enjoying this experience?
This is so much fun. It is, I mean, it's early for us where we are because we're in the Pacific Coast as well, but to be up and with an East Coast family and to get this kind of energy and connection to start our day off, I mean, oh my goodness, it's unmatched.
And like all of the people on, we always talk about, everybody talks about, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. Like we are definitely at the bottom of the room right now and could not be more honored about it. I mean, we've learned from every single person, every judge, and all of the participants here. It's really an incredibly humbling and honoring experience. And we're so grateful. So thank you.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, except you're at the bottom of no room you ever walk into.
Yeah.
That is false humility and totally crazy.
Well, thank you. Well, before we launch into feedback about the sales portion particularly, we hail from the world of marketing. And Joseph did something really subtle and cool from a marketing perspective when he offered his free gift to Adam. He said, go to I am Joseph McClendon, but he didn't send him to josephmcclendon.com. He said, go to @I am Joseph McClendon on Instagram, give me a follow and click the link in my bio in order to go through and get your free product. Now, what Joseph just did was maximized his ask to not just get somebody onto his website and get a free product, but now I've gotten a follower and a social media connection, which is worth its weight in gold. So I just had to point it out.
Well, and I loved that approach too, because I thought that was a really great kind of connection way that's not, I'll send you the follow-up email. It feels like it's less pushy and salesy. And you didn't tell him what he was writing down. So write this down. And then he writes down your Instagram handle. Like he has it now. He wrote it down. He's made this like physical commitment to it with his pen on paper. And then you said, now go follow me. And so I thought you were going to make him like say, I am Joseph McClendon. And now how is that not right? And do the strength test. But you did it. Now he had it written down. So that was a genius strategy, and love that you said, connection comes first. That's what we teach in marketing. It's all about connection. So once you connect, you can do anything. And that story about Nick is just so funny and so great. But you should know, we actually beat Nick last week on the Real Raw role play.
You guys, you do realize you both went like this?
Are they incredible? Like how synced up they are. And by the way, like, it was very fun, Joseph and everybody. Kris, we had some real fun. Nick and I going back and forth with me being blind and him having his challenges. So we had a good time.
Yeah,
So,
he's an amazing guy.
yes.
Yeah.
So, Kay and Shai, what do you got for scores and feedback as we bring this home?
Yeah, from a feedback perspective, it seemed like the gap almost caused a scotoma in your woo energy. And you got right back into the conversation, but for Joseph, yeah, it took you a couple of seconds to get back into that real connecting, influencing space. Maybe it's because you didn't tell him to shut up before you got back into it. But that was just something that we had noticed. We've got a score of 9.4 once again for you. You rocked it.
And then for Kris, we loved that you were a student and you started applying right away. So
Yes.
you flowed in and out of the different energies. You came back to that connection piece. Your questions, you had a little bit of the black and white, yes, no, but you went so much deeper. You asked more open-ended questions. Your improvement was dramatic. And so we gave you a 9.2 on this round.
Very nice work. Very nice.
Thank
and
you.
Finally, Michael Smikun, are you unlocked?
I am totally unlocked. I think all the judges are upsetting Joseph a little bit because they're like showing the magician's tricks and he's like getting upset. They're like screaming from the stand going, oh, it's in his sleeve. It's in his hat. And he's like, can you stop? I'm trying to find
So Kris
Stop
Krohn.
writing books about the secrets.
right?
All right, so I'm going to make a big ask. Here's my big ask for Gene and Dr. Joseph McClendon, Kris Krohn, Kay and Shai. Michael Smikun is hiding from the world, and Michael Smikun is a horrendous business developer and is a genius and one of the top attorneys in the country in litigation. And he's been my brother, friend, and partner for so long. So every time you ever see Michael Smikun, could you just lovingly tell him to stop hiding and get his ass in gear and get a camera, right? So that would be super helpful.
Stop hiding.
Well, stop hiding. And Michael, you were on last week. We heard your morning huddle and watched your role play. It was so good. I had a whole page of notes from when you talked about walking through the fire and that makes you stronger and that diamond getting formed in the pressure. Like it was such a good teaching and you had so much value to add. So we were really glad to hear you.
Stop hiding.
No hiding.
I got to be honest. I don't know what you're all talking about because anytime I interact with Michael, he always brings his crazy connective Zeus goddess energy in. And I'm like, whenever he does business with me, he's freaking like, there's no hiding. So Michael, stop hiding from everybody else. But thank you.
Exactly. He's great in those like small private environments, but he's process mastery, self-mastery deficient in building, scaling, growing his identity to the rest of the world that should know him. So love you, Michael. And what do you got for scores and feedback?
Look, if I was capable of blushing, you guys would see me blushing. But yeah, I think, one of the things that I do in terms of being in the courtroom, being in front of the jury, whatever it is I listen really carefully to the influence powers of my adversary, whoever it is. And immediately, we have this entire framework of like, what are they doing really well? Like, what is the magic that my ear is hearing that's making me want to be motivated or not motivated to say yes to whatever they're saying? And those things are like the emotional transportation, the congruence, the vocal qualities, all of those types of things. And I believe that the two of you, right, I'm going to go global first, the two of you literally just played the piano on every one of those things. Like you just so beautifully hit every one of the qualities that make someone an amazing influencer. And so my hat's off to both of you guys. I think that you work the energies, both of you, beautifully. I think if anything, round two should have went to Kris because, and I'll say this, because Kris went right to integration of the advice. Like he did a great job in round one. He listened carefully to what each of the judges said, and he went right into integration. He toned down his Zeus energy, right? His over-the-top decision-making energy, turned up his goddess, turned up his love, really listened to what Adam had to say. And so just beautifully, so well done. He integrated all the advice perfectly. So Kris, you did a tremendous job. I gave you a 9.8, right? Tremendous, tremendous, tremendous. I must say, however, I'm not a believer in ties. Gene, I love you, right? You're a fantastic human being. And I'm so glad that I didn't have to go after you with the advice. The kind of shit did a tremendous job. Hats off to Joseph because he again went over the top. His unique identity was tremendous. His offer was tremendous. All of those nifty little magician tricks that he did. And by the way, I'm not the masked magician. I'm not going to reveal any of those art forms. I know you worked really hard at them. I'm not going to reveal any of those tricks, but I gave you a 9.9 because I think you did a tremendous job. And by the way, I'm not hiding, Sean. Okay, here I am. All right.
Yeah.
Yes, but I have to yell at you.
Boom.
Can I say first off, thank you for that. And can I say something? is
Please.
that I appreciate what you just said there. However, I'm at this stage in my career, and I've kind of been this way all the time. I want everybody to know the magic behind it. That's what I teach. I literally do workshops and seminars on teaching people all of these skills. I have something that I call neuro-influencing. And I literally want to teach people these things so that they have them. This is going to sound altruistic and noble, but I think that unless we do share with people these skills that we have, then there's going to be such a huge gap between the haves and the have-nots. And that gap needs to be smaller. And the saying is, those of us that dare to dream while the rest of the world is having a nightmare, yeah, we're going to get all the stuff that we want. But the greatest part about it is that we get to be the leaders and the examples of possibility for those that would not otherwise get to know that. So I want to share everything. I want to open up the curtain and say, and I will say something. I don't know if it got by everybody or not, but I did it radically on purpose. It's just an ask. How many of you noticed? First of all, say, what was the thing that we did before we started this on the other, what did you call that?
The unblinded hug.
Hug. Okay. We talked about disrupting and a pattern interrupt. Did anybody notice the pattern interrupt that I did early on with my first offering? With
the fish.
Yeah.
Fighting fish,
Yeah. And you know, because it was strategic in the way that I did it. Here's what happens is oftentimes, remember what I said before, is that when you want to change something in somebody, you got to first get them out of that state. So I put him in pain on purpose, but then as soon as he was in the pain, then I interrupted the pattern that created that scotoma. So now whatever I say gets to go into that scotoma. And that's when I did that. So, you know, and I did it, I oftentimes do it a lot more subtle, but I wanted it to be blatant so that everybody got it. You know, it's because oftentimes people go, well, he's changing the subject. Even if they do that, I got them because they're not thinking about what they were before, and there's a scotoma.
Well, Joseph, here's what I'm hearing from you. An unbelievable passion to teach, give, and share. And it like explodes forward because we're over time and you're so generously sharing, endlessly giving, and I'm immensely grateful. How do you like this setup and format?
Well, you guys got my ass out of bed at 4:30 in the morning.
Well, thank you for that.
And Shy, and I think Kris, you're Pacific as well. I'm not Kris. Gene, you're Pacific as well, correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you,
So
Gene.
you got our asses up. So this is what you get. You wake me up early. You get more than you bargained for. Okay.
Yeah. So good time though, Joseph, or no?
Yeah, a spectacular time. Thank you, because I came into this excited about what I was going to learn, and as I said in the very beginning, I had no clue of what this was, you know. So I appreciate the learning opportunity. And Kris, thank you for allowing me to learn from you and everybody on the call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
definitely.
appreciate you, Joseph.
Yeah, and how do people find you, Joseph?
You can go get out your pen and paper.
Your pen.
I got my
your
pen.
books down.
And write this down. I am Joseph McClendon.
I am.
Go to Instagram, and there's a bunch of things on there. If you click on my profile, right now I'm giving a bunch of stuff away. And as a matter of fact, Gene, you actually spurred me on to do this. Thank you, because we were doing some things before. There's some free things there. There's some free trials there and things like that, because I believe right now, at the end of all of this, when it goes away, there's going to be two questions that everybody's going to be asking. What did I do during this time of Corona and sequestration that allowed me to be able to serve other people, and now I thrive? Or you're going to look back a year from now and you're going to go, what do I wish I would have done? And so my offering is to give you something that you can do, and you can change that certainty, you can change whatever. And if I can serve you in that way, then I'd be honored to do that.
Awesome. Thank you, Joseph. Kris Krohn, final words from you, and how do people find you?
First of all, I just want to thank everyone for allowing me to be here. Up until a minute before, I was going to be a judge. And when they said last minute, you get to go up against Joseph McClendon, would you be willing to? And I have to be honest, I was nervous, and I'm like, not really. But then I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn. So I'm going to choose in, and I'm going to learn from the master. And I feel like I learned so much. I have so many takeaways from today. I love the judges' feedback. And it was beautiful to see some things that worked, but also really just get back to how important it is to connect so meaningfully with people. Never make an offer without a connection that is really genuine and authentic. So I appreciated that. And Joseph, I thought you did a really beautiful job sharing exactly what those tricks were, and that you were very, very giving today. So I appreciate everyone for that. And then as far as finding me, my name, Kris Krohn, Kris Krohn. And if you can find me on all social, but if you go to YouTube, if you click on any description, you'll be able to pick up any of my books. I've got several publications that are all for free. They're all about building wealth and building the mindset. And those are all free gifts for anyone. Anyone can have those, grab those. I agree with Joseph that part of our legacy is how we give back. And if we're not taking everything we've mastered and learned in our own life and sharing it with others, then then we're shortchanging people and we're ripping people off. And so it is really the biggest legacy that we leave. We will probably never feel personally the impact of. And I think it's designed to be that way. It's just love, give, make a connection. And so any of my resources, please feel free to come and get them. They're all for free. And I look forward to connecting back on The Real Raw.
Yeah. Kris Krohn, Dr. Joseph McClendon, the incredible participants judged by the unbelievable Kay and Shy, Michael Smikun, Gene McNaughton, Success Resources, and clearly straight up genius that I'm excited to have got to meet today. And Gene, by the way, because others have had the opportunity, how would somebody find you in the world?
Gene McNaughton, just my name. It's the same on all the socials. So pick your favorite or favorites. LinkedIn is where I spend a good deal of time, and Instagram, like Facebook. My daughter told me Facebook's for old people, so I don't qualify for that. I guess I don't. Or maybe that is for me.
All right. So listen, again, Dr. Joseph McClendon, Kris Krohn, awesome participants. Both are heading to the Influence Off. Gene McNaughton, Kay and Shy, Michael Smikun, and this does not happen without the entire Unblinded team. Welcome back, Fernando Valencia, Adam Gugino, amazing role player, Jared Yellen, launch all this stuff. Thank you guys. Have an amazing and incredible day. Thanks.
Thank you. God bless
Bye,
everybody.
guys.
Okay, love you guys.
Love you too.